Hello my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of tea, because today we have very interesting stories, and one of them is a story about a woman with her 23-year-old child who was trying to steal OP's reserved seat. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. A couple months ago my husband and I moved states, and I started a new job at a physical therapy center in our new city. Since starting there everything has been going well, until Thursday. A woman who's been going to the center for a few weeks after a serious surgery usually came by herself. Thursday however she brought her husband and 4-year-old son. Apparently the husband normally works during the week and the boy goes to daycare, but today the husband had the day off and decided he wanted to see what his wife was doing every week. It's not unusual for a family to come in every now and then to watch their loved one's progress. I wasn't an active participant in this as I was with a patient, but the space was open and I could see and hear everything. The second this family walks in, or in the wife's case wheels in, the kids start shouting ball ball ball. And all but sprints over to the large exercise balls. He tries to pick one up, but it's too heavy, so he just starts pushing them into each other and making them roll all over the room. Not good, strike one. While the reception lady was checking the woman in, she asked the husband to get their son as he was making a mess. To this the husband replied, "He's fine, it's not hurting anyone." The wife told him not to argue and get the kid. He huffed but dragged the little boy away from the balls. At this he started having a tantrum. Strike number 2. The wife sighed but greeted her trainer and was ready to get to her routine. The husband was asked to stay in the waiting area with the kid but could still see everything just fine, however he didn't like being told what to do, insisting that I should be able to be with my wife. We came here to support her after all. This did not sit well with the reception lady and she insisted it was for safety, but the husband didn't care. During all this the man is holding on to the boy who is still crying and trying to break free of his father. "Oh come on, he's bored, just let the kid play, he won't bother anyone." Nope, not gonna happen. The reception makes it very clear that if the man lets his child into the work area he'll be asked to wait outside. The wife could hear her and shouted at her husband to stop being lazy. That was pretty funny. The man, now embarrassed, just sits down and keeps the kid in his lap, or tries to. The kid breaks free and starts trying to climb on the nearest machine. One of the guys that had just finished up with a patient saw this and rushed over to grab the kid. The husband didn't like that and told him, "Don't touch my son. He's just playing." And with that we have strike 3. The reception lady stands up from her desk and gets right in this man's face. She informed him that he will now have to take his son and wait outside the center for the rest of his wife's appointment. Also that he was no longer allowed to come to the center unless they had a sitter. The wife was done with her husband and told him to just go home and she'd call him when she was finished. The husband tried to protest, but his wife shut him down with, "I told you this was a bad idea. Now stop being stupid and do what you're told." With that the man grabbed the kid and left. Boy, was that satisfying to watch. At the end of her session the woman apologized for her husband and son. She said the husband refused to bring anything to entertain their kid because he figured we'd have a play area, even though the mom told him we didn't. The entire thing lasted maybe 15 minutes, which I think is some kind of record. She also promised she wouldn't bring her family again. All in all, not terrible, but very annoying. Edit: I feel like I should point out that things like this are very rare and it's the first time I'd seen it personally. I don't know why the dad thought we'd have a play space since pretty much nobody brings any kids into my wing. The pediatric wing maybe, but not the adult wing. Thanks for all the funny comments, I've been reading them to my husband this morning and he's been cracking up. Now it's time for me to get to work. Edit: I feel like I should add this for some clarity. When the receptionist meant safety, she meant for all parties. You see, people come in for physical therapy because of different reasons. Sports or general injuries are the most common, but people also come in to regain strength or motor skills after surgery or very aggressive chemotherapy treatments. These patients can often have weakened and compromised immune systems and are very vulnerable to basic illness. Because of this we keep our facilities completely clean at all times. Everything is wiped down after every use and we all wash our hands religiously. That being said, kids don't care about hygiene and are easy carriers whether you realize it or not. The second reason was the boy himself. A lot of our equipment is very heavy and has a lot of small places for little fingers to get smashed on accident. If he'd been allowed to go around picking things up and jumping on wetnut, he could have very easily hurt himself. This was best for everyone, period. This father sounds like just as much of a child as his son. What should you have in mind to let your kid play on rehab and exercise equipment? But the real question is, how did the father even get a wife with that behavior? This is a standard EK and me tale. I was traveling on a train yesterday afternoon back from seeing some friends. I was basically traveling the entire length of the route with a journey around 9 hours going over 450 miles north, so a long time. I had a reserved seat for the whole journey, with a seat next to me switching from being reserved for some of the journey for an hour or two, then being vacant. At around hour 6 of my journey, the train was becoming very busy with families going home from day trips out. The next stop saw the person sitting next to me depart and a woman who was looking and acting as if a group of scraggy students, like me, and families with little ones were far beneath her got on with a woman who looked my age, who were both looking around for a seat. The older woman, hereafter saw the space next to me and made a beeline for it, with the other woman, EK, in tow. This is the conversation that followed. Hi, I think you're in my daughter's seat. Me, oh, really? I'm pretty sure this is the seat I reserved, doesn't it say so on the display? The train I was on had an automatic display saying whether or not the seat was reserved. My seat said it was reserved from my departure station to my arrival, while the seat next to me said it next became reserved at a station about an hour away. No, the screen's gone off, these are the seats for me, and EK, now move. At this I got out of my seat to look at the screen, which still said it was reserved, and quickly sat back down. Me. Nope, it still says it's my seat. The seat next to me seems free for a while if one of you wants to sit down. EK. Why can't you just move? We're probably traveling further than you anyway. Me. Sorry, but I'm really not going to move. Raising her voice to attract the attention of others. I can't believe you won't have the dignity to let me sit next to my child. She can't just go and sit on her own. Me, TK, how old are you? EK, 23, so probably older than you really should do what I say. I'm 21 and look at me, seriously? I won't move from my reserved seat, your child is 23 and doesn't need to sit with you. I was feeling petty, so I raised my voice to mimic when saying this. That's it, we're getting the staff, I will not be spoken to like this by a child. But that they both left the carriage, and I didn't hear anything from any member of staff or anyone else. The lovely little old lady who was sitting across from me said that she would probably have sworn like a sailor at and EK if they'd spoken to her like that when they'd gone out of earshot. The icing on the cake was when the train stopped around half an hour later, so 2 stops after and EK got on, I saw them both getting off and walking up the platform. It took everything not to give them a little wave as they skulked past. The 23-year-old child. I am really worried for that child. What if one day an evil future husband will want to live with her without his mother? I think her mom won't let this happen. The backstory. I was making my daily commute on the bus while reading a book. It was a J.R.R. Tolkien novel. As you know, Tolkien writes in a peculiar way and uses really old English. In my country, I live in Brazil, there's this publisher that uses very old translations. I love it, it gives a very interesting touch to the reading, so there are some words that we don't use anymore. Behind me, a mom, and a little girl, NK. So, the history. I was reading, without a care about the world, headphones on and with really loud music. Now, I think this lady called me a few times because she got physical trying to communicate. She tapped my shoulder and I took off my headphones. The conversation went something like this. Excuse me. Did you know that you'll get deaf listening to music this loud? Me. Oh, I don't usually listen like this. I just don't like to be bothered. Well, that's not very polite. I was trying to talk to you. Me. Oh, sorry, the music must be annoying you, I'm going to put the volume down, it wasn't that loud, but I always try to be polite. It's not about the music. NK. Please, ask if I can read the book, Mom. Sweetie, Mommy is talking. I turn to the girl and explain. Me. Sorry, kid. This book has a lot of hard words, and even I struggle to read. You will get bored if you try. You think my girl can't read this stupid book? How dare you? My girl can read anything. Me. Then you should bring her a book. It's not anybody's obligation to entertain your daughter. NK. It's okay, mom. The kid turns to the window and starts to look outside at this point. The lady seems annoyed but stops complaining for a while. And then, I made a dumb move. I took out my phone to check the time. I heard that obnoxious voice. See, you are not even reading. Give her the book. Me. Lady, even if I was not reading, it is my book. You don't give your stuff around just because other people complain to you, or do you? Almost choked on her in rage. She's mad. I don't give a damn, I just put my headphones back, remember, the music is very low, and keep reading. Then said with an angry voice, fine. If you won't give my daughter the book, I will read to her. This lady just approaches her head over my shoulder, I hate this, don't enter my personal space please, and starts to read. She reads one paragraph, and then gets to the word Angelindale. It's a theme for a book inside the Silmarillion, it means great symphony. She tried to read that word for the next few minutes, then burst out screaming what the hell even is this book. She retreated with a defeat, and I enjoyed the rest of my reading in peace. The kid didn't even pay attention to her mom's reading, just kept staring at things outside. I know it's not like those that get mental over things, but the audacity of this lady was surprising for me. It's funny how she embarrassed herself by trying to read that word. I wonder what if the book was in a different language. I think she would blame OP for reading the wrong books. So in my school you're in the same class for 9 years, and then your class is changed when you move to a different school. So our school had an excursion planned for us. It was going to be 4 days traveling all around the country. There were around 50 or 60 students going, and we needed 2 separate buses. My class had the most students going, only one guy from my class didn't go, so we and like 15 students from the other class got into the bigger bus. This also meant that it would take a little longer for us to get going, as the teachers had to count all of the students. Our buses were parked in front of this big museum, and there were other buses for different schools that were going on an excursion as well. The teacher wrote me down as a present and I got my seat. I sat there when this very angry-looking woman approached me. Me and my friend, he was sitting next to me in the bus, looked up at her confused as she wasn't any of the teachers we knew were coming. Excuse me, but my son is supposed to be sitting there, is the one talking in this. I was confused and I politely said that this is where I was written up to sit and that I even double-checked to make sure. She was already getting angry. Her son was right next to her and I knew he didn't go to my school, as he looked like he was 10 or 11. I am pretty sure my son is supposed to sit here, now please move. At the point where she raised her tone, I instantly knew that she wouldn't go without some sort of confrontation. My friend and I were still trying nicely to explain to her that she was probably on the wrong bus. At this point my teacher came in and saw what was happening, so of course she asked the woman what's going on. Yes, these 2 won't move, so my son and I can sit here. Teacher looked at her list of students and checked us and our seats, and as expected we were sitting where we should be sitting. My teacher, entitled Mom, D. Excuse me miss, but this is where these kids are supposed to sit. Are you calling me a liar? No miss, but I think you're on the wrong bus, this bus is for kids from, insert my school's name here, All other kids got on these buses, why can't my son and I sit here? Because you're not supposed to be in this bus, as I said it is for kids from this school. Now the woman was already furious and started yelling nonsense at my teacher, who took her comments calmly and told her to leave. She grabbed her son and they left the bus, being escorted out by the bus driver. My friend told me that she made a fuss outside of the bus too, but I didn't hear anything, thankfully. Even though it wasn't her fault, my teacher still apologized to me and my friend for this inconvenience. She's still one of the best teachers at the school. Just imagine not realizing you're on a bus full of kids that don't even go to your son's school. That woman probably thought she could get a free ride though. Well, I'm glad she got caught. So, during summer holidays, I work as a lifeguard in a swimming pool. This story is not from the summer, but the year before. I worked in the only pool of a small town, but as this was the only big pool for around 30 kilometers, we had lots of people. We reached 1,000 entries in a single day once. There were 4 different basins in the pool. The regular 25 meters swimming lanes, a smaller one, 15 meters, a more shallow basin for kids to play, and a really shallow one for toddlers. We also had a separate area with jacuzzis, sauna and hammam that are also known as Turkish bath apparently. Well, hammam is the Turkish word where children were not permitted entry. So, the story. As I was on my chair, I was scanning the area when I saw this young woman with her child, no more than 3 years old. She had the typical "I dropped out of college to care for my son and I am more important than you look." I did not really care at the time, for me she was just a regular client amongst a nameless mass. But a few moments later, she walked past me to the spa area alone. I started to look around and saw the kid wandering aimlessly just next to the water, starting to run around, looking for his mother. I think it was a little boy, although I don't 100% remember that. That cannot be good, I thought. I went to talk to the kid when, after running around, the kid fell in the deep pool. I instantly grabbed the lifeguard tube we used to get people out of the water and carried him safely on a chair so he could get dried. Mind you, quite a lot of people were messing around us, including one of my colleagues, whom I asked to go bring the lady. Enters EM. As soon as EM sees her kid sitting on a chair, she rushes to him and slaps him. Needless to say, everyone was shocked. I grabbed her and pushed her away and tried to talk to her. The conversation went approximately like this: "Me, what are you doing? Why are you slapping him? Are you crazy? EM, he's a little disobedient idiot. I told him not to." Me, I was completely puzzled. Not to do what? EM, go in the water, idiot. He doesn't know how to swim, why the hell would he go in the water? I told him to wait for me. At this moment, I started to get angry. Unlike most people I see posting here, I do not mind confrontation at all. I basically told her that what she did was completely stupid and irrational, and that one must be an idiot to expect a 3 years old to obey like that. I'm pretty sure I said it in more professional terms, but you get it. She then proceeded to turn the fault to me. EM. Also, why didn't you prevent him from getting in the water? Are you even a real lifeguard? You should be watching over him. I pointed at the pool and told her, see all the people here? I can watch over him just like I can watch over the hundreds of children I see each day. No more, no less. After that, she got out of the pool, screaming and shouting insults at me and my colleagues. I told my boss about it and the pool is now closed to her. No dramatic ending. Oh yeah, and the kid turned out fine. He had the time to drink a bit of water, but none of it went the wrong way, so it was fine. She's very lucky her child is fine and healthy, but I'm aware of the future of that child. I hope mother learned her lesson and would be more careful in the future. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story is about an OP with her device that helps her cope with her disease and a kid who wants to play with that device. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.